You're about to hear the chilling actual cockpit recordings of Australia's greatest aviation mystery as it unfolds. The charter flight was full of passengers bound for Sydney, but 2.5 hours into the flight, in the darkness, somewhere over what's called the Devil's Triangle because so many planes have crashed there, the Cessna 210 vanished. 1 minute it was a blip on a radar screen, the next it had disappeared. 33 years on, the plane and all on board are still missing. So where is VHMDX and what happened? Here's Denham Hitchcock's investigation.
Now that I have your attention, I want to tell you a story. Down below me is the Barrington Tops, remote, wild and inaccessible. Now in 1981, that's 33 years ago, a light plane crashed, killing all on board. There were 5 men with wives, children and families, 5 men who have never been found. So tonight, for the first time, we're bringing all those pieces of the puzzle together. A puzzle that has haunted so many people for decades.
As far as Australia is concerned, it's the only remaining civil aviation incident that has never been solved.
This vast area where Flight MDX was lost is known to pilots as the Devil's Triangle. At least 7 other planes have crashed in these dangerous mountains.
It's not rainforest, it's jungle. It is so dense that you couldn't see someone a metre away.
You could feel the onset of terror in his voice. The pilot was calling off his altitude as he was coming down. 8 or 9 seconds after that, that was it.
So unnecessary. And nothing has been done in 30 years. Oh, God.
The mystery of what happened to Flight MDX begins a long way from those mountain ranges. It begins with a boat captain called John Gleave, a few of his mates sailing from Sydney to the Whitsundays, and a Super 8 camera. So what was the mood like on the boat when you first started off?
Fantastic. A few drinks and a bit of a yahoo and a see you later type thing. The dolphins come along and leap over the bow and all that sort of thing,
I guess you probably didn't realise at the time, though, how important that video would become later.
No idea.
John Gleave's film is the last moving pictures of 4 good mates who would soon board Flight MDX. How would you describe them?
None of them were boring. They were all quite humorous and funny guys. Noel Wildash wasn't called the Jolly Green Giant for no reason.
Noel Wildash, in the yellow shirt, was an engineer and a keen fisherman. On the left, Rhett Bosler, a 33-year-old finance broker who'd only been married for 6 months. Next to him, Inspector Ken Price, a 54-year-old career policeman and second in charge of the Sydney Water Police. He has a son and a daughter.
Everywhere Dad when I went, I was always with Dad, yeah.
Daddy's girl.
Oh, yeah.
On the far right, 43-year-old Philip Penbroke, a successful businessman who ran several nursing homes. A few months before the trip, he'd proposed to his girlfriend, Yvonne.
2 weeks before the disappearance, we had a holiday at the Snow where we had discovered that I was pregnant, and he was overjoyed.
So you were a couple very much in love.
We were very much in love, yeah. And we produced a love child. I call him our love child.
Yvonne named their child Philip Jr. after his dad.
What do you know about this man who carries the same name as you, who you've never met?
He was, the life of the party and very, charismatic and outgoing. People warmed to him. I crave to be able to have, seen him move or hear his voice or any of that. I've seen lots of, still photographs, obviously.
Well, I've got something to show you. This was taken on the boat on the trip they did to Queensland.
That's rare. Oh, there he is. Oh,
Oh my God.
oh.
No, this is the first time This is the first time I've ever seen him move.
I've never seen that either.
That is amazing.
Oh. He looks so young.
Wow, guys.
Oh.
That was absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I've got no words to describe what I've just seen there.
John Gleave remained in the Whitsundays, but chartered a plane to take his mates from Proserpine back home to Sydney. They'd have one refuelling stop in Coolangatta.
You saw them fly off.
Yep.
When was the last time you saw them?
Saw the plane anyhow, yeah.
The pilot, Mike Hutchins, was experienced, with almost 3,500 hours in the air, but only 28 hours in this type of aircraft. At around 4 o'clock, MDX landed in Coolangatta to refuel, and Ken Price called his daughter.
He rang me from up there. I was the last person he spoke to. And he said everything had gone well, so at that stage.
But that wasn't the whole truth. The crash investigators' official notes revealed a witness said the pilot looked pale and a little tired and reported problems with the gyros or electrics.
Should he have continued?
No, if he had problems with his instruments at Coolangatta, especially if it was with the artificial horizon, called the attitude indicator, and the directional gyro, to be flying at night in those circumstances was not sensible. He should have waited the night.
But he didn't. At 5:02 p.m, they took off from Coolangatta. The destination was Bankstown Airport in southwest Sydney. Night was falling. The scheduled flight plan took them inland on a route west of Newcastle.
His plan was to fly visually at night, where you had to see lights and a bit of a horizon to make sure that the plane remained upright.
Mike X-ray with the Starry at 508000, estimating Singleton, time 30.
This is the actual flight recording. Mike Delta X-ray is the call sign for flight MDX.
Mike Delta X-ray assessment 210 is overhead Taree at this stage.
Mike Hart is talking to the pilot from Sydney.
Was there anything out of the ordinary?
No, nothing at all. It was a typical quiet late evening shift.
Approaching Newcastle, the pilot asked for clearance to change his flight plan and travel east along the coast.
Would there be a clearance available for that aircraft coastal?
I've done it. It's beautiful at night. You've got Williamtown, you've got the lights of Newcastle ahead of you, and you can see the lights of Sydney in the distance. It's a most magnificent flying area and can be done very safely as long as you can remain close to the coast where there are no mountains.
But permission to take the coastal route through restricted airspace had to be given by military controllers at the RAAF base at nearby Williamtown.
I think he would have been thinking, look, it's a Sunday night, there won't be any military aircraft flying, they'll give me a clearance straight down the coast, I'll be okay.
According to Dick Smith, what happens next is critical. Instead of getting clearance, the pilot is told to wait, forcing him into a holding pattern and potentially pushing him into incoming bad weather.
When they started to said you're going to be delayed and you have to go into a holding pattern, I think he would have panicked and thought, well, a holding pattern is a no-no. I'll be heading back out towards the bad weather with no horizon. I'll risk going on the normal route, which took him over the mountainous area.
So MDX turns west, but the weather is now getting worse.
It was a terrible night, so windy, and saw the plane and thought, who would be up in the sky on a night like this?
At around 7 p.m, local farmer Lynn Laurie saw a tiny plane fly towards a giant storm front.
You could see the line of black snow clouds parallel with the Barrington tops. It was like somebody went through the sky and cut it with scissors. It, one side black, the other side stars.
Just a huge storm front.
A huge snow cloud.
We're experiencing considerable turbulence now and quite a lot of downdraft. Mike Dollar X-ray, roger, stand by. Sydney, Mike Dollar X-ray is in turbulence and would request the clearance to 10,000 from 8,000.
He was in cloud and he was having difficulty, wasn't able to climb to that altitude because he didn't even know what attitude to put the aircraft on because the attitude indicator, which tells you if you're climbing or descending, had failed.
Mike Dollar X-ray, just to compound a little problem, I've lost my AH and DI.
I was very concerned because that deprives him of his primary flight instruments.
The ADF, or automatic direction finder, was out, and there was near zero visibility.
He's in cloud at the moment, is he? Yes, mate. And he's lost his artificial horizon? And his ADF by the sound of things. And his ADF? Yeah, he's got problems, this boy.
So he doesn't know which way is up, in effect. He's looking down at his magnetic compass. It's swinging around so widely you can't use it. So it would be the most frightening situation to be in.
As the temperature plummets, ice covers the wings.
In effect, the aeroplane it has all this drag, and so you need more and more power to try and keep the plane airborne.
Mike Dollar X-ray, we picked up a fair amount of ice, and I could just make out a few down from the coast. I'd appreciate if we could. Oh, hell, we just got in a downdraft now, and we're down at about 1,000 a minute.
You can hear him getting to the point where he's sort of managing it, and then for whatever reason the aircraft then is in a rapid rate of descent.
And it gets worse.
Just to compound things, we thought we had a cockpit fire, but we seem to have resolved that little problem.
The passengers would have been incredibly scared. You would be frightened. You would be frightened to death.
Sydney, Mike Dollar X-ray, we have a little bit of a problem in that our standby compass is swinging like places. Mike Dollar X-ray, roger. Are you able to maintain a gyro heading? Negative, Mike Dollar X-ray. We've lost the AH and the DI, the vacuum pump.
The vacuum pump had failed, so there was nothing to drive the gyro. So basically, it was impossible to fly that plane.
In layman's terms, without that vacuum pump, he doesn't know where his horizon is. He doesn't know north or south. He's flying blind.
Yes. When he reported that he'd lost the vacuum pump, he's basically nearly dead.
Dollar X-ray, we're scorching 3,000 IDEN, and we're up and down like a yo-yo. Mike Dollar X-ray, roger, we're looking for you.
To be over the Barrington tops at night in complete darkness, in unbelievably bad weather, with turbulence that you couldn't believe, and lose the vacuum pump, you're dead. I mean, that's why he should have never been there. He should have been on the coast where the weather was good and he could fly low, way below the very high wind speed.
These are the last recorded moments of Flight MDX.
Mike Dollar X-ray, we're having strife up here. Dollar X-ray, we're losing a hell of a lot of... We're down to 6.5. Mike Dollar X-ray, roger, Sydney. Your lowest safe in that area is 6,000 at this time. If you continue heading towards the coast, towards Williamtown, sir. Mike Dollar X-ray. Mike Dollar X-ray, Sydney. 5,000. Mike Dollar X-ray, Sydney.
Oh, I don't even... he couldn't fly towards Williamtown because he wasn't allowed to fly in the bloody controlled airspace. Oh, it is just terrible. It's the most terrible thing. I don't even like listening to it. Sorry, just horrible. Horrible. So unnecessary. And nothing has been done in 30 years. Oh, God.
The missing plane was last heard of at about 7:30 last night.
Seen a red glow and was going on behind the trees.
In the days, weeks, months and years since the 5 men disappeared, 2 questions remain unanswered. Where is Flight MDX? And what caused the crash? Was it pilot error, mechanical failure, or was it the fault of the RAAF, which delayed the flight, causing the pilot to fly inland into a storm?
We're losing a hell of a lot of... We're down to 6.5.
Dick Smith used to run CASA, the Civil Aviation Safety Authority, which is why the views he's about to express carry such weight and are so explosive.
The accident, I believe, happened when the pilot was told, as pilot gets told today, oh, you'll have to hold. There's going to be a delay because the military are going to delay you.
Would there be a clearance available for that aircraft coastal?
So at this point, he makes a decision to turn towards the Barrington Tops.
Yep. He'd love to come down the coast over the Williamtown Air Force Base, but he's not allowed to, or he's going to be delayed. So here he is, he's forced over Barrington Tops. It's just incredibly rugged. And when he went west, he got into winds up to 70 knots. That's something like 130 kilometres an hour. Put your hand out of a car at 100 kilometres an hour and feel the wind buffeting. I've flown in that area in the daytime when there's been 45-knot winds and my plane nearly got turned upside down.
I got an X-ray, Sydney. 5,000.
The Royal Australian Air Force, in effect, sent these 5 people to their deaths. If there was a flight tonight of the same type, the same thing would happen because the same restrictions apply. I checked today by ringing the briefing office and I found that the rules are still there that you can't file a flight plan across the top of Williamtown. So this is a giant roadblock. I've been 5 times around the world. There is nothing like this anywhere in the world where there is an Air Force base between 2 capital cities right on the coast and then they restrict anyone from flying through it when they've got their control zone active. That military airspace in any other country in the world would be open to all aircraft. It is outrageous what is happening. More people will die. See, you can do something with this show if we can get those rules changed because they're going to save lives in the future. No one's been able to do anything in 30 years.
A lot of people would be mystified that it hasn't been found. Isn't it time that it was?
To me, when you've got a great mystery like this, you've got to solve it.
This is one of the most inhospitable places in Australia. Virtually unseen, untouched by man. And for a simple reason, the undergrowth here is so thick, it's close to impenetrable. A plane wreck could be 5 metres that way and I'd never know it, which is why searching this area has been almost impossible for the last 3 decades. Now, where I am, here, I can see a few metres, but the further you go up, the more you realise the scale of what these search teams are faced with. The Barrington Tops is holding a secret, and it's hidden somewhere in more than 760 square kilometres of thick, rolling bushland.
Imagine the fame that goes to the person who finds it, and also the thanks from the families and from the relatives. They'd certainly like closure on this.